everyone, and welcome to Kentucky Go Digital. We are wrapping up our NTI series today, and what a series it has been, and I am so excited to be a part of this show today as we end with one of the most intelligent, just most, I don't know, she's awesome. Like if you've ever been to Kissy or been able to listen to her line is back out the door, getting to learn from her. But I'm so excited to learn from Heidi Neltner today, digital learning coach at Fort Thomas Independent Schools. And I'm also so excited to be joined by an amazing panel that we have on the Kentucky Go Digital crew, as you can see below. We have Brandy New, Instructional Technology Coordinator at Hardin County Schools. We have Elaine Abenatha, Digital Innovation Leader for Jefferson County Public Schools. We have Daniel Washburn, Digital Innovation Leader for Jefferson County Schools. And we also will be having some people pop in possibly throughout the show as they get time. And if you want to, every girls, how's it going? They want to say hi?
Hey, everybody. We're all hanging in there, just trying to one day at a time and learn from one another. And so I'm glad to be here.
And everyone on YouTube Live, thank you all for being here. It's awesome to see you. We've had a lot of people join throughout the week and ask questions. Don't forget to ask questions in the chat, in the YouTube chat. If you do not have that feature right now, if you'll hit the subscribe button, it will allow you to turn on your, if you hit the login, sign in button, you can also subscribe to us as well. But if you sign in with your account, it gives you the comment feature, so you can ask some questions. I know on the panel, we will have a ton of questions for Heidi, but we want to hear from you too, and that's why we wanted to have the shows this week, was for you to be able to ask the questions. Brandy will be in the chat along with Elaine and Danielle. If you have any questions, be sure to pop in there and ask so we can work with Heidi and get those answered. We want to know what district you're from, your name, county, so we can definitely connect with you. And before I keep on talking, I want to introduce Heidi Neltner from Fort Thomas Independent, as she talks about interactive notebooks. And take it away, Heidi.
Yay! Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for that introduction. I am just so excited to be here with some of the most inspiring ladies in Kentucky. And I'm so excited to be sharing with you guys about interactive notebooks, which I think, I'm biased because I love them, but I think that they can really save your NTI days, especially as you're planning. And as I've been working with teachers, I've just been digging in deep and trying to find new strategies and skills to help them. And this is the one thing in my back pocket that I always come back to. So super pumped to share that with you. And I'm going to share my screen, so you are going to get that whole, tunnel of fun here in just a second. There it goes. All right, and I'm going to flip over to my presentation. I'm hoping you all can see that now. Did it pop up?
Looks good.
Oh, good. Okay, so we're going to be talking about interactive notebooks and how you can use those for your NTI days and how to save them. Thanks for connecting here with us. I am Heidi Neltner. You can contact me at Fort Thomas, and then or on Twitter at Heidi Nelt. And I have a bit.ly for you all to go to. I can share that out on Twitter after too. It's bit.ly/Heidi Nelt enter for interactive notebook. INTER. There's at the end. And so, I guess it's been about 2 years ago is what it feels like, but it was really 2 weeks ago, where we got the word at Kissy that we were heading into NTI days. And I think our first reaction was, what? I'm sure a lot of teachers in districts were kind of looking like this. And of course, then there's me, and I'm like, oh, we totally got this. I'm on it. We are going to be fine. And then shortly after that, I'm like, it's about to go down because we need to flip the switch and throw out the paper and make this just a lot easier on ourselves. And I think the interactive notebook really can help us simplify our planning. So I'm going to show you guys some examples first, and this is going to be at that website that I gave you, the bit.ly/Heidi Nelt enter. As we go out to that website, this is just my site. I have a whole section here on digital notebooks. The presentation is at the top, and you can get a forged copy of this in case there are any slides in here that you want to steal. Please feel free to do that. A blog post, I have another video I've done. And basically, when I create interactive notebooks or help teachers create them, we use them basically for three things. We use them for PBL, we use them for different kind of book type activities, which could be any kind of book. Like it could be your history book that you're reading, it could be a literature book, any kind of textbook that you're using. And then we have some that are more direct instruction inspired. And each notebook is sort of set up the same way. So this is one, the Name Your Hyperdoc one, is one that I set up this week. And if I just kind of flip through this a little bit, you can get a forced copy of this here and basically just customize this and run with it. And I will show you how I set this up as we go through this session. But I think this would be a great place to start if you've never done this before. It gives you quick directions, daily details for students, and then it uses a format that includes engage, explore, explain, create, connect, and share. And you could do a whole unit inside of this, and it could be something that lasts you for 2 weeks of planning. So if I just walk through, you'll see there are graphic organizers, there's place for students to take notes, there are places for students to synthesize their information, to create, and finally to collaborate. And so that's really what we want our students to do, even on NTI days. We want them to be functioning like they're in the classroom, but it's better because they can do it asynchronously when it's, appropriate for them. Another example up here that some of our teachers are using right now is for literature study. And the way that's working is students are getting a choice book. They're dividing their book into 5 sections. And then for each of the 5 sections, they're tracking things like vocab, main idea. For this particular book, they're doing point of view and character. And there will be some choice built into this as well. And then as they get to the end of the sections, they will take a look at different things like, scroll down here, plot and theme. So you can see this is a way for them to just organize each day and for each section of the book what they're going to do. And then, like I said before, we also use it for project-based learning. When we develop these for project-based learning, we usually have 2 main sections of these notebooks. One is a research section, and then one is for project planning. And if you wanted to force copy this at ICE one, this is design thinking, and we use a lot of the slides in here for our project development. And then I just have 2 examples of how those notebooks might look for project-based learning. This Habitat one we did in 4th grade, it's one of my favorites. We start with a driving question. We usually customize these different slides with calendars. And then we have more specific note-taking strategies and research that the kids have to get. So that's just kind of an overview of what I mean when I'm talking about interactive notebooks. And this would be a place where you can go and swipe a lot of different things that you might need to use. And feel free to do that. If I don't have one that you can just copy, if you email me, I'm happy to send you that link. So that's really the overview of what they look like. So let's get into how we can make them. So as I already covered, these notebooks are great for using direct instructional units for book studies or like book work that you would traditionally do in topics like science and social studies. And of course, it's great for PBL. The one model that I kind of talked through just before is one that I've just kind of come up with for these notebooks. And I think it's easy to, if you're doing some direct instruction, to create it around an engage, explore, explain, create, connect, and share model. And that was the one example I told you for sure to force copy from my website. And that is based off of work done by Casey Bell and the 5Es, another 5Es rubric. So with engage, what you want to do is pique their interest, and then explore, the teacher student curates resources and notes. For explain, we're going to synthesize information, and then we want to give our students the chance to create a product or show their understanding. And we want them to connect and share back with the class. So this could take a whole week, like I said, it could take 2 weeks. Make it easy on yourself. So this came from some work done by Casey Bell and the 5Es lesson planning. I have some links here for you guys to click on later if you want to look at those in greater depth. So skills that we're going to cover today are giving digital directions for these notebooks, helping kids stay on track through the notebooks, encouraging visual thinking with graphic organizers, curating resources, and collaboration strategies and project planning. All right, so I feel like I'm flying through this, but what we're gonna do first is set up these notebooks for success. And I use Google Slides. I just feel like it's one of the easiest ways to do it. You could use PowerPoint if you want, but having it in that vertical view helps kids who are typing on a laptop or typing on a tablet really engage quicker. If you change it to a portrait view, which you can, it's harder to work with. So I do use Google Slides, and the first thing we do is we start with directions. And I start with a direction slide. And you want your direction slide to include bulleted main points and a video of you explaining the process. And if you need help with creating a video, I would go check out Stella's work that she did earlier for Screencastify. And you can click right on this link and it's going to take you to her KY Go Digital discussion. And I think, let's see, who was she with? Erica Bowles maybe that day. I forget who she was with. But so that was a great episode for you to actually check out. But she talks about Screencastify, which is a great way for you to create those videos. And so it might look like this. I don't want my video to play, hopefully. But when visual learners look at directions, they get lost if it's just like a wall of directions and texts with long bullets. That's why for these NTI days specifically, it would really be good for you to create a Screencastify and then pop that into your Google Drive and insert it right into this notebook for students to refer back to and listen to. You also want to use bullets, keep those bullets short, use subheadings. You might just highlight that and make it bold or underline it, but that's going to be your key details. One of the big things that I'm hearing teachers over and over say is like, the kids aren't reading all my directions. The kids aren't reading all my directions. And that's because we have to make it visual and we have to give them that audio connection that they usually get in the classroom. So don't forget to do something like this and go that little extra step to help them understand what to do with their notebook. So to do that, I would also then include a project timeline, and you can easily create these project timelines from the insert menu and diagrams. So this is an example of what a project timeline might look like. So if you're doing, NTI days, you might just start off with the whole week inside of here and tell them to do something on Monday, tell them what to do on Tuesday, Wednesday, etc. Use bullets again. Remember to keep it brief, but this is just a quick place for the kids to go back to view the work. So I'm gonna make that smaller. So if we were going to create that, I'm just gonna show you guys how to do that right now. I'm gonna go to the plus sign, change my background to transparent. Okay, and I would just type in directions, and then insert diagram. And when you insert a diagram, there's all these different kinds. And so you could be pretty visual about it. There's the timeline, which I think is really helpful, or the process one, which would be another one that's good. So if I click on the process one, for example, I can just click on that, or I can choose for different steps. So if I was going to make this for 5 days, I would choose the 5 days and then just change each of these things and customize it to my daily and daily directions. And what that's doing is it's just creating a visual map for the students, because we do want it to be colorful. We do want to give them something that they can look at and engage with. And for our digital learners, I think that's really helpful and important. So this is just a quick way to create a timeline with quick key directions, and it forces you to keep it brief. I think as a teacher, as an English teacher, I am super wordy, and so keeping it simple for students is really a struggle for me, and using a tool like this is really helpful. Okay, the next thing that you would want to have in your interactive notebook is a rubric or your grading expectations. Now, I personally really love the single point rubric, especially on these NTI days where, kids are not going to read 5 different cells of an expectation. Keep it really simple. use a single point rubric. This link here is going to take you out to the COLA pedagogy site where you can read all about single point rubrics and how they work. Basically what you would do is insert a table, and on that table you would just put what kids need to do to meet the expectation. And that just very clearly tells them what you need them to do. So I loved that as an expectation chart. The other thing you could do is you could insert a grid. So if I just go to insert again, and I'm going to go back to diagram. And here are grids, different grid choices. This would be another really excellent way to give students a little visual for what you expect for them. So if I was going to use, for example, this red one, I could put the standard that they're supposed to meet with the 3 bullets of what I expect for them to do. And it just adds some color. It makes it simple and keeps it short for our students who are probably really bombarded with information and distracted by things like TikTok. So just, keep that in mind. So I'd like that as another way to create your rubric and expectations. Okay, so then once you have your directions and once you have your rubric or your daily expectations charted out for the kids, your next step is to begin just creating the activity types. And the main activity types that you might put into an interactive notebook like this would be graphic organizers, links to YouTube videos with notes, links to articles with notes, and as you're going, you're going to want to build in checkpoints for students to check in. And
Heidi,
sorry.
Heather, I just wanted to say, watching my kids do NTI assignments at home the past couple weeks, I would totally appreciate it if their teachers would use something like this that kind of brings it all together. Because I feel like we are in like whiplash mode of assignment, and this kind of takes several pieces and pulls it all in together. And I just wanted you to know that as a parent, I would really appreciate it if my kiddos had an assignment like this and the resources all linked together.
Yeah, I totally appreciate that as a parent as well. My son's kindergarten teacher took this idea and really drilled it down for kindergartners where it's all visual, and he just goes into Seesaw and clicks on his slide and sees for the day, he gets a morning message and then he sees what he has to do for reading, and he just clicks on the slide and goes to a video, clicks on a slide, goes to a video. And it made it so much easier once she just put it all in one spot for us.
Hey, Heidi, sorry, it's Brandy.
Go ahead.
We had a question from the chat as well that I think is kind of relevant as you're talking about building these out. Once you assign these in Google Classroom, I'm assuming, are you doing make a copy for each kiddo?
Yes.
Okay, and then if, say I do that, Corey wanted to know, and then I see, oh my gosh, there's a mistake or I need to move something. Can you edit that on your end and edit their copies, or is it kind of once it's out there, it's out there?
Once it's out there, it's out there, unfortunately.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
So you could run updates. When we're making these, we usually have somebody check and double check, but we're not really in a situation right now where I think we can do that. So if you were going to create these in the beginning, you might need to do it for just 1 or 2 days and then give them the next steps, and then give them just until you feel more comfortable with getting all the content in there correctly.
No. That's super smart. And I think at this point in time, we're all learning and revising week by week even. So it's okay. Parents know we're trying and it'll all be all right. Thanks.
Well, I like too that, let's say I'm a teacher and I'm just now catching on. I mean, you have different levels of teachers, we're seeing, but this is a great way to start small, try one thing and connect it, as opposed to, I'm sure yours is connecting several things. But if I'm a teacher out there and I'm a little bit nervous with all of these tools, this is a great way to start small and connect things little by little. And as the days go on and as you learn more and as teachers share, you can add it into this one place. Like Heather said, you can start connecting them, but you can start small with one thing and not get too overwhelmed with this too.
Right. And, I think that also brings up a point, if, as far as starting small, if you're working with a team, if the whole English department or whole science department that teaches the same course or whatever gets together, you could say, okay, so-and-so, you go find all the resources we're going to put in our notebooks. Somebody else filled out the graphic organizer. Somebody else grabbed the YouTube videos. And then you could collaborate on that, each make a copy and assign it to your class that way. So you could definitely divide up the work and do the part that you feel good about doing. And then leave some of the tougher stuff to somebody else on your team who maybe has a little more experience with Google Slides in the beginning, and then work through that process together.
That goes back to the many hands make light work mentality. Smarter, not harder. I love this. All right. Any other questions that you all see in the chat? So before we go on, anything else? Heidi, you have a lot of fans out there. Bill's in the chat, lots of comments. I think I saw Brian Spellman from KET in the chat. So lots of people from around the state here to learn from you.
Oh, good, guys.
Stella Pollard has a little hack, a workaround for the problem about after you've ready to send it out to the Google Classroom and then make a copy for every student. She said in the slide, you make a copy and then have the students copy that individual slide and paste that into their own copy. So it's maybe a little workaround. She's good.
She is so good. That's such a good idea.
Yeah, and Corey from Newberry said that this would definitely help our ECE and ELL students. So that is awesome.
Yeah, that's one of the things I'm even seeing from, students who maybe have attention deficit kind of issues, or just having the ability to have multiple pieces in here with the ability to listen and watch and read. Really, I think could help a lot of different populations of students. All right. So do you guys want to learn about how to make a graphic organizer? And next, that's what we're doing next. And I will say that if you force copy this and any of the other ones that I have on my site, you could just copy those and put them in if you don't have time to make graphic organizers in this very moment, which I'm sure a lot of people don't. But making graphic organizers is very easy. And I think Google Slides even has simplified it even more. Typically, what I do is I change the background color of a slide. So for those of you who don't know how to do that, you just, on a new slide, go to background and pick a color. And I just think that helps pop it a little bit, pop your information and give students a visual marker. So if you were gonna say do a note-taking slide, you might say all note-taking slides are orange or all note-taking slides are blue. And that's gonna help kids just quickly zero in on what kind of activity or task they have to do. So I do change the background color a lot. Another thing I do is sometimes I'll make my graphic organizers in Canva so that circles and boxes can't accidentally be moved. And if I do that, then I use an image as the background. And it's the same kind of concept of changing the color. You just go to background, choose image, and typically I'm pulling it in from my Google Drive. Of course, you could also browse and upload if you wanted to do that. But using a slide as a background is helpful, I think, for some kids who might accidentally delete things or something. So creating a basic graphic organizer, I think, like I said, Google has made it even easier since I probably put all these directions together in the very beginning. If you go into a Google slide, let me change this color real quick, and go to layout and just use the regular layout. Let me change this real quick. Layout. Okay, just use the title and body layout. Mine's not quite working. And you type your directions, and then you start typing. If you bullet a list like this, so like step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. As long as you have like 4 things in it, if you go to explore, a lot of times on the side here, it will give you a suggested layout, and boom, you have a quick graphic organizer. So that's even quicker than how I usually build out my graphic organizers, which is to go to the create a new slide, and I usually make it a blank slide. I don't know if that's going to work right now. Let's see. So I usually use a blank slide, and then I go to insert text box or shape. So using the shapes is nice, especially if you're doing cause and effect. You could drop in a square. Okay, you can change the background color or fill color on this. You can go to arrows and add in arrows, and then just duplicate that for cause and effect. And then kids can just double click in there and type. So that's the other way that I make graphic organizers. It just depends on what you have time for. I have lately found that it's easier just to start typing and then do the Explorer and pick a new format. But any of the shapes will turn into text boxes for you to use for graphic organizers. And there are some samples here. So like I said, if you force copy this, you can just copy and paste this I'm on a Mac, so I'm doing Command C, and then go to your new document and paste that in, and you have, the beginning of your interactive notebook. So did anybody have any questions on just creating simple graphic organizers?
We don't have anything in the chat.
Okay. All right, so the next type of activity or information that you might put inside of these notebooks is video. And when you do a video, I know there's a lot of great tools like Edpuzzle and PlayPosit. And those are all great to use and send kids out to, but you could also just build in some expectations to your slides. You never want to have kids just watch a video and do nothing with it. I think especially during this time, you want them to be practicing with summarizing skills and key details and practice rewinding the video and that sort of thing. So what I would do.
Heidi, can you say that first sentence one more time, please, for the people in the back? You never what?
You never want kids to just watch the video and do nothing with it.
Thank you.
Yeah, they should be using that power of pause and taking some notes. So a very simple graphic organizer for this is to just pop in the video and then add in some text boxes. You can make them fancy if you want, and ask them to identify at least the 3 big ideas. Now, if you're watching this from Google Classroom, if you've assigned it through Google Classroom, or we use Schoology, so if we've assigned it through Schoology, all I would do as the teacher is pop on here and do like a quick check to see if they did this work and if they got the key details. And if they didn't, or if I needed to give them some more direction, then I could type that in the notes section of their notebook, or I could go to insert a comment and just give them some feedback on their understanding. So this is a very quick way for the teacher and for the student to engage in the content and the give and take of learning. So this could be a teacher provided video, or it could be a student curated video. It's up to really the age level. And you might just leave this blank and tell them to find a video. So video is really easy to use. The other thing you might want to do, to find the videos, I'm not sure how many people know how to do this, but to find the videos, you can insert right from YouTube. So if I go to insert and then video, I can search in my drive, which is what I've done before, or I could go to YouTube and just look for example, the water cycle. There's always something up for that. Oh, here's a water cycle song, pop that in there, and my video is set. And really, if I'm being simple, I could just leave it here and put for the directions, type 3 key details here. It doesn't have to be that fancy boxes and stuff, even though I think sometimes for younger kids, it's a little appreciated to have a spot for them to type. But you could just make it that simple. The other thing you might want to do with the video is customize the start and stop time. It's really hard for students sometimes to sit through a 15-minute video. Maybe 2 minutes of that video is what you want them to watch. So this is just another kind of template where they could do summary and key details. And I could go up here to insert video. I've still got my water cycle up. Okay, this you can see is a 12-minute video. So if I'm going to select that and pop that video right here into this organizer, I could start playing that video, and then, it's pretty loud. I could have it start at, say, like 5 minutes if I had previewed that, and then I could have it end at 7 minutes. Instead of having them watch the whole thing, you can use the current time. You can just customize the start and stop time so that the kids only see what you need them to see, and that's going to help save time and maybe keep them from all of a sudden drifting off and going something else. Just keeping it short. So that's a quick hack that I really like. A couple other video type organizers you might want to try would be a Think, Puzzle, and Explore. So you might have them watch a whole video and then think about questions they have about the topic. Think about, or puzzle, write questions under puzzle for Think. They might write down what they're thinking and explore like what they want to explore more about the topic. This is really great for engaging students and learning about a new topic. And then the other one I really like is See, Think, Wonder, where they just jot down notes that they're seeing, what it makes them think about, and then what they wonder. So 2 similar ideas, great for engaging students in the very beginning of a unit. And those are 2 templates you can totally just steal and put into your own stuff if you need to. Any questions on the video stuff? No.
I don't have a question, but I do have a comment that I love the fact that is the hack on showing the video that you can only, because right now kids, their attention span is not even what it was, in the classroom when they have the Xbox looking at them on the other, side of the room. So the fact that you can shorten that down and put that in there, I highly recommend what you just said, because that hack is priceless for kids that they only need 90 seconds or 2 minutes.
Yeah, and I would say that as I'm watching my own son, before I'd say, yeah, he can watch a minute long video, maybe a minute and a half, and now I think it might be 45 seconds. You guys have been at his attention's there. So I think that is something really to consider, is what you would ordinarily in normal times use as your measure, like a minute per grade level. I would even maybe back that off, maybe down to half, because it just might not be there right now for them. Okay, so moving on to articles and using articles. Now, this could be teacher curated articles, or it could be student curated articles, depending on the age level and the topic. So the way you might create the articles is you as the teacher, or you might have the student do this, is have them actually link the article to the graphic organizer. So this is just kind of like a take on Cornell notes, where you would have your main body of notes, and then you would have on the left side the main points that were in that, and then summary or question for further consideration. And up here on the left, if you use this template, you could right click and click hyperlink and drop in the article you want students to read, or the students could drop in the article that they read. Again, that would just be depending on the age. And then they would just fill in this box using, maybe they might need to add text boxes to that, or they can just start typing their notes. And again, as the teacher, this provides you with a great checkpoint for them, because you can come down to their summary, skim the summary, and see if they have questions. And if they have questions, you could answer those questions in the notes area if you needed to. You could insert another comment, or you might decide it's time to pull the whole class together and discuss those questions as like a Google Hangout, or we're using Teams, so you might use Teams. But this is just another great way for you to check in on understanding and have that like quick assessment touch point, instead of building out some big thing. It's all right inside of this notebook. And then I do have just some other options for how you might structure those slides. For this one, this is again just like kind of a take on the Cornell notes where you put an essential question at the top, and then students might be reading in their science book or reading in their social studies book and taking notes and then writing a summary with questions. So this could just be a book project that you're doing with your students. This is probably more middle or high school level. And the next one down would be more like intermediate, grades 3 to 5 might use some like a note-taking strategy like this. Okay, so I think just giving them your expectations for note-taking on articles and videos really helps for them to engage and get through things a little bit quicker and provides you with that touch point. So the next part is providing them through the digital notebook with a way to collaborate on projects. And typically how we set up ours is there's the learning phase, which is what all we went into. And then they take that learning, they synthesize the learning, and they turn it into a project where they create and share. So that's what we're going to move into, is just some structure for that. So tips would be for the project part is to assign one copy of the project notebook to a project lead, either through Google Classroom or Schoology. And then the group lead shares with the other people in their group just by going up and touching share and typing in their names and their emails. And then that gives you as the teacher one project notebook for maybe 5 groups. So basically you're just reviewing 5. The next thing you would want to have them do, or you would do for them, is create a task list with group roles. And then you would have them facilitate that discussion using video conferencing. So this is an example of a project plan. What I would have the group do is write down their project description. And then I would insert a table where they plot out all the tasks that have to happen for that project and identify which person's responsible. And then as students complete, they just check that off. And then down at the bottom for the project, you could make a task list that they have to do, or they might create a task list of the process that they are going to use to finish the project on time. We also would use, and all these, sorry, I have to go back. All these I just used by doing an insert table kind of feature. And I built out the table and resized it. And then this was a timeline just from that chart or diagram. So I just went to diagrams and I picked a process one. So that's very easy to create a group project plan slide, or you can just copy and paste it. I also have them do a design sprint if they're gonna create a project. This could be, we do this like in class. So outside of class, you know, this might just be everybody kind of just brainstorming and telling them, brainstorm all the different things you want to do. And then they narrow that down and create their group project idea. So this was a specific example from a project that we did on habitats, but this format could easily be modified where it's like, what do you need? Who's doing what? What's the plan going to be? This slide here, you might just want to snag it and use it in everything. We use this in everything. These are all the different kinds of projects that students might do. And even though they're at home, I feel like a lot of these projects could still be done remotely. They just might have to video it and submit it, or they might have to do, like come up with a creative way to get it to you, like by emailing it or submitting it through Google, or just actually putting it into this whole notebook. They can just put their project into it from Google Drive. It is nice to do gallery walk or peer review. Again, we usually do this in person, but it would be nice for our students to meet virtually, either through Hangouts or through Teams like we use, and share their screen and give a rundown on what their project looks like and get feedback from their peers. And then they could use this slide to sort of reflect on the feedback that they got from their peers. And this slide can be used as a method of just like keeping track of the type of feedback they should be getting. It would be great if the teacher could join in on that and give them feedback here, or the teacher could open up the notebook and drop in feedback. The other thing we have is just a couple storyboard templates for creating the project. And then sometimes we do things like make a sketch and upload your sketch to this space, that kind of thing. So that's basically how I would get students to develop their project part and work collaboratively and inside of a notebook like this. So that's a lot. But those are like the big tips for how I put together these projects. Yeah, so I'm gonna stop sharing my screen maybe in case people have questions.
Can I make a comment? I don't have a question, but I have been a Heidi fangirl for like a decade now. And can I just tell you that what I love and appreciate about you is these are amazing. You have put a lot of time and energy into these resources. You flushed them out, and then you just handed them to all of us. And you've always done that. You've been like, here, take the things. And I just really appreciate that you do that for us, because it's been a huge support for a lot of us over the years, whether you know it or not. So thank you.
Oh, thanks. I just think, if you got something good, it's good to just give it away.
Yeah.
I want to make a comment too, back to like some of the slides at the end about the group projects. Right now, my girls, they're missing their friend. And I think that when, and I know it's hard because some people don't have access, but I like how you put it out there so that if they have the access and you know your kids and who does, and you can give that opportunity for them to be able to connect in a different way than just rinse, repeats. It mixes it up. It gives them something to look forward to, and it almost forces that collaboration that they miss, but it's also structured. I love that you threw that out there, that group projects can still exist in this environment. It doesn't have to be, here's a doc, answer these questions. You help set the stage for collaboration, and that's what our kids are missing right now, just as much as the teachers.
And it's hard. I told a group of teachers yesterday, we've given you this giant task, and we've said, go do all these things that you didn't know how to do 2 weeks ago. And by the way, make it fun, or they're not gonna participate. So something like this would be amazing. I think you could really, even for a first time, with the resources Heidi's already given, kind of layer your own vibe on top of it and walk your kids through a group project right now. I mean, that would be amazing.
Yeah, and I think it can simplify and make it easier for you, because kids can just drop the links to whatever the project they're turning in right inside that notebook. So everything would be contained. The whole process would be contained right inside of the notebook, and the kids just have one spot to look, and it does really help only having one spot to look, I think.
I wanted to add something, Heidi. When you had said that the students could then share some of to do the group, do you guys still know if Google Classroom has the capability where I can just select certain students to then share this one set of Google Slides, and then I could then have another copy, and then I would share it, so that you wouldn't have to necessarily, younger kids wouldn't have to worry about typing in that sharing. I think that's still a possibility.
That might be it. We use Schoology, and so inside Schoology, like, we can't give one group the same document to work on. The kids have to share it. But the Google Classroom might let that happen. Somebody might know. I don't have Stella still out there, but she might have a good feel for that, a good hack for that.
I know she's in there. Her and James Allen are giving the big virtual high fives to Heidi. James was like, Heidi's the best. And Stella's like, yes. So you definitely have some cheerleaders in the chat for sure.
I ain't gonna lie, I was texting somebody who's watching and like, oh my gosh, what was the question?
We were just talking about whether Google Classroom still had the ability to, where I can take one set of slide deck and just assign it to all of a group of kids, and then have my another copy of it and assign it to another group of kids, so that I could kind of pre-arrange those groups, and they don't have to worry about sharing with the wrong person or whatnot. But in Schoology, that's not capable. But let's see, James Allen said that still exists for Google Classroom. It's all good.
Great. Well, that's like the big stuff I have. And like I said, all those examples that I have up on my website, I'm happy to share those. I didn't put a forced copy in for all those because some of them I've collaborated with other teachers on, and I just want to check with them before I, give away collaborative work. But anything that was just strictly mine, is free to totally share.
That's awesome. And Heidi, thank you so much for sharing today. Like what Brandy said, we all are Heidi fangirls. And I hated that Kissy got cut short, and they did a great job closing it out. But I know that many of us had planned to attend your sessions. So thank you for sharing and sharing something that this entire 2-week series, it kind of wraps up into one. All of the digital tools that so many leaders shared the last 2 weeks can all be wrapped in to this. So it's really fitting to have you wrap up this series. And thank you for your support on sharing all of the tools. If you're watching, you know that you can continue on demand support with kygoddigital.com. There's tons of videos. You can go back to the archives and look if you need something. I know anyone that has shared, the whole kind of vision between KY Go Digital is to connect and share. All the people that are sharing would love it. If you get to a point and you want to reach out and email, that's what everyone's here for. Continue sharing on the hashtag. While we are practicing social distancing and we are practicing the next week, I don't know what an NTI / social distance spring break looks like, but I hope everyone has a good NTI version of spring break. And the April series will be coming out with more digital strategy for NTI days, and we hope you can join us then. Until then, connect on YouTube, connect on the hashtag Facebook, Twitter, and to the hashtag KYGoDigital, and continue creating, connecting, and sharing. We'll see you in April. Bye.
Bye.